Am I the a-hole for telling my wife she owes me an apology for these last 7 years of marriage? I'm 32 and my wife is 32. We dated in high school and got married 7 years ago. My wife has always been a scatterbrain. Before marriage, she was always misplacing things and leaving everything half-finished. She was chronically late, had clutter all over her living space, and would get bursts of frustration about these messes which would lead to hyperactivity into not really doing anything conducive towards a solution. I love her anyway, but at times it was tiring. I saw past that because I knew she was the woman I wanted to marry, and we got married when we were 25. Unfortunately, a lot of the problems that she had seemingly accelerated after marriage. We purchased a larger house because she's obsessed with storage space, but this has essentially meant 2 bedrooms are no-go zones for me. They're simply full of her clutter. Once they were full, she started leaving things in my office, which I would have to move to not trip over. I tried to convince her for years to go get diagnosed with ADHD and start treatment, but she had a really negative view of ADHD. She viewed it similarly to how she views schizophrenia or psychosis. Not that there's anything wrong with these conditions, but she believes there is. A couple of months ago, she had a girls' night out, and she came home telling me that she might have ADHD. I mean, I had been telling her that for years until she decided that she would have a meltdown every time I brought up ADHD. I first figured it was because she was 30 minutes late and it caused an issue with her friend, but no. She described her frustrations to her friends, and one of them told her that she might have ADHD. A bit of a side note, but when I said it, it was the worst insult imaginable to her. When her friend said it was helpful commentary. Well, my wife finally got herself diagnosed the day before yesterday. She came home from the doctor talking about how it explained everything. I responded that I felt I was owed an apology. She was initially confused, but I responded that if she had actually addressed this when I asked her all those years ago, I wouldn't have had to live with the constant stress of her chronic tardiness, clutter, emotional outbursts, and so on. She responded by shrieking at me, and now she's refusing to even have a word. I feel like I may have taken it too far, but were my words towards her justifiable? Am I the a-hole for telling my mom she's allowed to get married again, but it doesn't mean I'll approve? My dad died when I, 26M, was 17. Now my mom has gotten serious with someone else, a guy my dad worked. This is a man who hated my dad and my dad hated him. Mom and I knew about it. There was bad blood for almost 20 years between them. And when dad died, her future husband was the only person at the job who didn't sign the card for us. And my dad would have done the same. So for me, there's a strong dislike about mom's choice of partner. But they connected 2 years ago and both fell hard. She's excited to marry him and have a future together. She even talked about sharing grandkids, which I made a big face at and told her it wouldn't be happening, which is when we talked. I told her she can get married, and to whoever she wanted to, but the fact she married him is not something I approve of exactly, and I will not allow him to be a grandfather to my future kids, and he won't be someone I try to get close to. Mom told me that's unfair. I told her she can feel that way, but that man hates my dad. My dad hated him. I said there is no part of me that wants him around, but I accept she does. I told her I had to come to terms with her choice in partner, and I tolerate it. But I want him in my life as little as possible. She told me he's a good man, and yes, it's awkward with his feelings on dad, but we shouldn't hate him for it, and he's easy to love. I told her I'm not going to love and accept a man who hates my dad. I asked her how he'll take dad's presence being around all the time, including at my upcoming wedding next year. She told me it won't be easy for him, and that a lot of people are already against him because of his and dad's beef. Mom got upset and said she really wants my approval of him, and for him to be approved to be a future grandfather and FIL to my fiancé. I told her I won't ever stop her marrying him, but I won't approve. She's angry and upset with me. She said she wants to share all this with him, and she deserves it even if I don't think he does. Am I the a-hole?